Good afternoon, and welcome to Maryvale Drive in the town of Cheektowaga, where we were here not too long ago to talk about the 2025 road program for Erie County and how this was an important road that was going to be done as part of our $47.5 million worth of projects that we did in 2025 across Erie County. I'm Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz, and I'm joined by our Commissioner of the Department of Public Works, William Geary Jr., as well as our Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Public Works' Highway Division, Karen Hoke. You'll hear from both of those soon. We're also very pleased to be joined by Pete Anderson and David Bojanowski, who are making certain that our boards don't fly down. But we're here to talk about roads because we're ending our road season for 2025, and it was a big one. As we talk about on the board here, $47.5 million worth of projects were done in 2025, including what you see here in Cheektowaga on Maryvale. 17.4 miles of roads were done in our mill and overlay program. That was $3.6 million. 14.4 miles of road were done as part of our cold cycle and top course treatment program. That's $3.4 million. Our oil and chip program, that's a lot of roads in our rural areas. $2 million, but it buys a lot of roads, 74 miles of roads. And then our big engineering projects, which included this project here, $26.8 million for $47.5 million worth of projects in 25. And when we look back since 2020, we noticed a number that really was shocking when people wonder about, why aren't you doing more on roads? Well, since 2020, starting with the finishing with the $47.5 million that we did this year and $25 million in 2020, we've done $250 million worth of roads. It's actually $250.1 million to be exact. So $250 million has been invested in Erie County's road and bridge infrastructure since 2020. And it's all an example of how we are continuing to invest in our roads. And if you notice, the amount that we've spent in the last few years has been a lot more than what we did in 20 and 21. And part of that is because the cost of product cost a lot more than it did pre-COVID. So while we're doing still over 100 miles of roads, we're literally doing 10% of our roads on an annual basis. The cost to do 10% of the roads has increased dramatically, and I'll turn it over in a moment to our Department of Public Works Commissioner, William Geary, to talk more about that. But we're finishing up a number of projects right now. Most are complete, but there's a few that are still being completed, like they're doing some cross sections with regards to Maryvale. We've got a big project that's going on for Maple Road in Amherst. The first half of it is being done this year. The next half will be completed next year. But it's our commitment to the public that we are going to continue to invest in our road and bridge infrastructure. You've heard me say this before. We have 1,200 centerline mile roads. That's at least 2,400 lane miles across all of Erie County. That's more than 3 states have in total in all their roads, in Delaware, Hawaii, and Rhode Island. So we got a lot of road infrastructure to invest in. I want to thank our partners in both the state and federal government who helped us with some of the funding for these projects, federal aid projects, as well as state CHIPS projects funding, which allowed us to do more roads this year. And as you can imagine, those trucks that we have in the Department of Public Works that we're working on road projects, most of them have been outfitted with plows because we are entering our season. Not every single truck has been outfitted with plows, but most of them have, and I know our Deputy Commissioner will talk a little bit more about that. But I want to thank my partners in the legislature for supporting our road project. I want to thank the drivers who have been maybe a little bit inconvenienced as having to go out on the roads and deal with construction crews, but the construction crews are a good thing. That means we're able to invest in our road and bridge infrastructure to create a better infrastructure for all. And just want to thank all the crews that worked on the projects. We had a good year. It was a little difficult at times with regards to some of the rain that we had, but in general, we were able to get almost all of our road and bridge projects that we anticipated completed by now, and the final ones will be done in the next couple weeks. But I want to thank everybody for their investment in this community, because it's just one way that we can invest a significant amount of money in our county. $250 million since 2020 is a lot of money, and it's gone into creating a better road infrastructure for all. With that, I want to turn it over to a Commissioner of the Department of Public Works, William Geary, to talk a little bit more about the road program, the investments we made, and how we're working to create a better county for all. Commissioner?
Good afternoon. Thanks to the county executive as well as the legislature for giving us the resources to be able to do this first and foremost. As the county executive said, we probably have the largest infrastructure when it comes to a county government within the United States. But on this, one of the things you're not seeing is there's like 3 bridges out of that 45 million. Over the next 3 years, due to the Bridge New York program, we're going to be rebuilding 14 bridges. A bridge, most people will go over. Our longest one's about 200 feet long, but some are as short as 25 feet. Those bridges cost anywhere from $2 million on up to $5 to $6 million. So those 14 bridges, high ballpark estimates over the next 3 years, is about half of that $45 million. And we're looking forward to that. And again, the county is only going to have to pay 10% of that. The team in the Department of Public Works, as well as with our counterparts at the state and federal level, we're constantly trying to go after programs like that, be as aggressive as possible with how big our infrastructure is in order to keep it ready for the future. It's also, the last 5 years, we accomplished about half the mileage, so it's just under 600 miles of road that's been rehabilitated. In the oil and chip program, a lot of people, it may look like one of the most inexpensive, but we have roads that are almost 40 years old because they're in a 3 to 5 year cycle with getting that oil and chip on it. And then the crews, along with Karen and her engineering team, have been very innovative in some of the processes out there, the cold recycle, the hot recycle. We've come up with mixed designs on some of these roads that aren't your traditional just mill everything out and put something new in there. And we recycle a lot of that aggregate and asphalt that's on the wearing surface, so they go back in the road, and we have cost-saving measures there. And now, we're trying to do more with the recycled and renewable diesel fuel to help lower our carbon footprint. But also, at the end of the day, we have safe roads, and we're investing in almost every community within the county of Erie. So thanks again, County Executive.
Thank you, Commissioner. As he noted, we've basically done half the road since 2020, and the person responsible for overseeing that is our Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Public Works in the Highways Division, Karen Hoke, and I want to thank Karen and her team for the work that they've done, not just this year, but in recent years. We've gotten a lot done. There's always more to do, and especially with regards to our climate. But I want to thank Karen and her team, and they got a busy season coming up now, snow season, so if you want to talk about both seasons.
Sure. Good afternoon. Thank you. I'd like to echo what the county executive and Commissioner Geary has said. It's been a busy construction season, another busy construction season that is going into our busy winter season. Our 5 maintenance districts are finishing up, getting all of the trucks converted over to plows so that we have our full fleet ready to respond to anything that Mother Nature throws our way. It's looking like we will have snow coming, and our crews are ready. They'll be getting on their winter shifts shortly so that we can respond to any snow that comes morning, noon, night. So as a reminder for people traveling on the roadways, don't crowd the plow. You're going to see us pushing out that message. Drive safely. Stay back from plows. I encourage people to follow our social media, follow the Erie County Department of Public Works for regular weather updates, any continuing road work that's going to be done as we go into the winter season. But for those daily updates to let you know how many plows are out on the road and what the conditions are looking like. Thank you.
That's why the men and women who work at the airport wear hearing protection. It is very loud. Once again, I want to thank the public for having to deal with sometimes the inconvenience with the road projects. I've dealt with folks who are like, fix this road. And then when we're fixing the road, are like, stop fixing the road because you're slowing down my travel into work. I said, well, we'll get it done quickly. It's just part of what we have to do in this region. And once again, I want to thank the great team at the Department of Public Works. This is a big investment that we've made over the last 6 years. It's pretty impressive when you think about what we do in county government, that we're investing $250 million over the last 6 years in our roads. And one final thing, I want to give a shout out to our former president, President Joe Biden, One of the reasons that we're able to do and getting more bridges done is as a result of the bipartisan infrastructure bill that was passed in Washington during the Biden administration. So I want to thank President Biden. I want to thank former Congressman Higgins, because they supported those programs. And the reason we're getting more money into New York State is because New York State is getting more money as a result of the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which is helping to ensure that roads and bridges that we might not have been able to get this year or next year, but maybe not be able to do for 8 or 10 years, are actually being done in the next couple of years. With that, open up to any questions.
What's on tap for next construction season, and what kind of money is there to do it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the team right now, we have a draft put together for our 2026 road program. I would expect it's going to be pretty similar to what you see right now as far as funding goes. But like I said, some of those bridges, those 13 bridges, we're going to see a more centric bridge approach to that. But we'll still aim for the same amount of miles, and then always have to look at coming out of winter. That's why we kind of wait and keep it in draft form, because we do, we manage the road, but we have multiple utilities within our right-of-way and within the road, whether it's a sewer, water line, municipal water and sewer districts. So when they have multiple breaks, some of those unplanned events, they might accelerate a road being reconstructed or being rehabbed. But I would think it's going to look very similar to what we've seen in 2025.
Are you concerned of losing funding? The county executive mentioned former President Joe Biden, current president is not so generous, I'll say, with giving money to states, especially blue states. Are you concerned?
Oh, absolutely. Out of our program, we really depend on the federal aid match. We belong to the Metropolitan Planning Organization here with our partners at the state, the City of Buffalo, Niagara County, GBNRTC, the Greater Buffalo Niagara Region Traffic Council. They have all that on our tip, and our 4-year tip traffic improvement plan depends on that federal aid. It's a big bulk of money. We know that the current road program from FHWA, Federal Highways, is going to expire in September 30th of 2026. It's yet to be determined what kind of program the current administration is going to put out, but we all know infrastructure is the lifeblood to everything from commerce and life safety, getting people back and forth to a hospital. So I'm hopeful, and our team that's from the Western New York delegation will push and get us the funds like the past president did, and challenge them to do even better and give us more funding.
Any other questions on topic? Any off-topic questions?
I got a couple.
Okay.
First one is for Nate Benson. It's about the Erie County Sheriff's helicopter. Do you share the same concerns as the controller that the funding isn't there to receive both helicopters and upfit them? And then I have two more on the same.
My budget office informs me the funding is there. The controller's office made what can only be described as a mistake by not taking into account $1 million that we previously received from New York State to help pay for the deposit. So we feel confident that the funding is there. I know there may be a change. The sheriff had originally talked about turning in the helicopter, but feels he can get better money for it by selling it on the open market, the current helicopter. So for the time being, they plan on keeping the current helicopter, upfitting the other one. The other one should be coming any day now, the first of two. And then once that's upfitted, we can have that in place and then take the other one and sell it. But my budget office indicates that they feel comfortable. We have the money to buy the two helicopters. There's some money that has to be acquired for upfitting it, but that we feel confident we can get. And the controller's office may have made a mistake by not taking into account $1 million that was already provided by New York State. That happens. Sometimes they make mistakes.
Probably answer it, but was it responsible for the helicopters to be ordered if the funding wasn't there, and should the county cancel the contract on the second helicopter?
The funding is there, so I think at this point we can safely say the funding is there, and the controller is certainly entitled to a belief whether or not he feels that the helicopters are necessary and should be there, but it was passed by the legislature, was signed off by me, and the funding source is available.
My last question is for Chelsea Swift. We received a call that the Bills are not going to host Section 6 playoffs for next year, the 2026 season. The Bills have said they're not committing to it right now because they don't know what their schedule
Yeah.
is and the opening of the stadium. What can you comment on that?
Well, that's the first I've heard of it, but it wouldn't surprise me with the new season. We feel confident that the stadium will be ready for the first regular season game. But beyond that, I really can't comment. And I don't know what other programs that the Bills were anticipating having. I know Section 6 enjoys playing at the football stadium. It's a nice treat for the finals for those that make it. Hopefully they'll be able to return to that. I understand why they said they couldn't commit to it now. They may be able to commit to it next year, but that kind of leaves Section 6 sitting wondering where they're going to be. But I understand why. There's a new stadium that's being built. We feel confident it'll be ready by June, but I don't know if they have any other indication from the NFL about games that want to be held or other things that are going to be going on. So it's the first I've heard of it, but it doesn't totally surprise me considering we are in the process of building a new stadium that we want to be ready by next September.
Is it possible that the old stadium will still be up and standing? Maybe hold them there?
Once the new stadium is basically open, then we start taking down the old stadium. So they will start taking it apart, and it just wouldn't be feasible to do that because then we'd have to delay everything for additional months when we really wanted to start taking that down.
Collins Correctional, the state announced that they're consolidating it to half, pretty much. I know you mentioned before that you didn't want them really touching Collins. Do you have any comment on them, the reduction?
Well, I received a call from the Commissioner of Docks yesterday, Dan Marticello, and he told me, he said, we are not eliminating any jobs, same job count. We're just reducing the head count, so to speak, the bed count, from 1,000 to 600. But as it stands right now, there's only 630 people there anyway. So it's not like they're automatically going to be moving prisoners out. That's just not going to be the case. So I think what's important is for people to understand, while the facility is consolidating, they're not closing it, they're not shutting it down, they're not mothballing it and turning off the power, and they're keeping that on in case they need it, but they're just going to move everybody to one side. I'm not an expert on this. I'm just glad that the jobs are staying and we're not losing jobs, because there was a facility in the North Country in Franklin County which is actually closing. So they're going to lose 300 jobs in that community.
That was going to be my next question. Do you like that facility in Franklin County? Do you think that maybe in 3-5 years, when they reassess all the facilities, that Collins might get closed?
I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say whether one's going to get closed or not. We already went through a closure with regards to Gowanda, and it was one of my arguments to the commission is that we already went through a closure. We shouldn't be facing another closure. We have a facility that's a good facility that works. I'm hopeful that they don't have to do any further closings, but that's out of my hands.
Is there anything you can do? I mean, you said you had conversations. Is there anything more the county can do to kind of keep nudging?
We can put pressure on. I did talk to the governor about this earlier in the year. I've talked to other key figures in the New York State system about it. I took a tour there earlier this year. And our goal is to ensure that we have them in existence because they are good paying jobs, especially in a part of the county which doesn't have as many employers as, say, here in Cheektowaga. So it's important that we keep those jobs. I'm glad we are. What the long-term goal is, I'm not certain, but the Commissioner Marticello announced yesterday he does not see any closures in the at least immediate future other than what he announced yesterday. Okay?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.